What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel. As you can see by the title, this video is Reset, Refocus, and Rebuild. And to be able to do this video, I had to ask myself what that looked like for me. And as you can tell by the different scenery behind me, I'm currently in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. I'm on my last day here. It is Saturday, May 20th. By the time this video comes out, I will be back home. But to do this video, I had to ask myself what reset, rebuild, or reset, refocus, and rebuild looked like for me. So I took a few minutes the other day, and I've tried to do this video more than once. And I took a few minutes the other day to kind of ask myself what that looked like for me. So, a reset is about embracing a positive attitude towards change and finding opportunities for growth in hard times. So, what that looks like for me is I had to reset my mindset on how I viewed being single and changing it to a positive mentality instead of looking at it as a negative thing or a bad thing. And because that's what I had struggled with the past couple weeks. Maybe a month, but trying to look at singleness as a good thing and not a bad thing, because this is the first trip that I've ever done by myself. I've traveled by myself. I'm not staying with anybody. All the things that I've done today or this past week, I've been by myself. And so I had to be able to see that life could still be enjoyed, even being by myself, even though I'm truly never by myself, because God is always there with me. He's always been there with me. And then once I was able to, and this trip has been that for me. It's been that trip to allow me to reset and to refocus and to rebuild and stuff like that. And so once I was able to see that life could still be enjoyed being single, and once I could change my mindset to make it a positive thing, to where this can allow me, to be able to do things on my own, to pursue things on my own, and to, grow closer to God in this time, that I'm in this season that I'm in. And so being able to allow myself to reset my mindset to a positive one, it allowed me to refocus on what truly matters. And God is what truly matters. And I had to put my focus back on Him. I had to seek Him first. That I was putting Him first and seeking Him first, because with being single, I was seeing so many people, getting married, getting engaged, having kids, stuff like that. All those things that, I want, all those things that I've prayed for and, my heart desires and stuff like that. And everybody would just tell me, just keep seeking God first and, everything else will come. And there was such a resentment, because in my mind I was like, well, that's what I'm doing. I'm putting God first. I'm doing things the way I'm supposed to be doing them. And, it's not happening for me, but I'm seeing everybody else who may not be doing the correct way, or they're not living for God or anything like that, and they're still getting the things that I have prayed for. And then I had to realize that even though I thought I was putting God first, I was putting my being single first, and was focusing on, why am I still single and this, that, and the other. And so being able to refocus my mindset back onto Him, to put Him first, to seek Him first above everything else. And then doing so, that allowed me to rebuild my faith, because my faith had been damaged, through this season. Not that it wavered or anything, it just, I'd felt like it had kind of been just, damaged a little bit, because I was seeing all these other things going on around me, and I felt like I was putting God first, and I wasn't seeing like the fruit of that, and not realizing that I actually wasn't putting Him first. I was putting my singleness first. And so, and with doing all that stuff and being able to see all that and realizing all that, and being able to realize that, life can still be enjoyed being single, and I can find happiness in being single and contentment in being single. Not that I want to be single, forever or anything like that. It's just, I can be happy with where I'm at and what God is doing where I'm at and in the places that I'm at now. And this trip has allowed me to see all that. It has allowed me to be in the quiet, to be in the stillness, and to listen, and to be able to hear those things, to be able to hear that life can still be enjoyed in singleness, that life can still, be happy in singleness, and all that. And because I was a person who did not like to be in the quiet, in the still, because if I was in the quietness and everything, I felt like my mind would just run, and like the voices in my head would just take over, and it would just lead me into a bout of depression. And it was just, so I continued to just keep avoiding being alone and being quiet. And when I came on this trip, I was nervous because this is the first trip that I've ever done by myself, and doing things by myself without having somebody else here. During this trip, I have felt so much freedom from being able to go and do things by myself, on my own, and being out of my comfort zone, and that fear of doing something on my own, doing something by myself. And with this trip, I have allowed myself to get quiet, to be in the stillness, to be able to listen to and to hear the whispers that God is trying to tell me that I would normally miss, in the chaos and in the noise of the world and stuff. So many of us miss those small whispers that he's trying to tell us because we get so caught up in the noise and in the chaos of this world. So it's such a good thing to be able to finally be in a point to where I'm no longer afraid of being in the quiet and being in the stillness, that it doesn't bother me. It doesn't, I don't have that fear of those voices trying to come against me or anything like that. Being in the quiet and being in the stillness sometimes is where God needs us to be, so we can hear those whispers that he wants to tell us and he wants to say. And he has told me a lot of things on this trip about myself, about the future, and getting me ready for things that could potentially happen. But the biggest thing that he has showed me in this trip is that life can still be enjoyed being single. And then I can be happy in this season of singleness. And one of the other things that he has showed me is that I don't have to live in fear of being by myself, because God is always with me. God is always going to be wherever I'm at, whether it's, in Pigeon Forge, whether it's in St. Mary's, whether it's, halfway across the country or wherever it may be. God is always going to be there with me no matter where I'm at. This trip has been a peaceful trip for me. It has been what I needed. Being able to get away and find that peace and find that, quietness. And for other people, it looks different. Finding your peace and quiet, maybe, going to, in a closet, or, just if you're off spending the day at the house, or if you have kids or anything, just when they go to school, you just take a moment to yourself to breathe and to let your mind relax and to let it reset and not try to focus on so many other things that goes on in this life. And I know it's hard and it's difficult. For me to do those things, to be able to get away, to be able to reset and to refocus and to find that peace and that quietness, I have to leave the state, just because there's so many distractions to where something really small can just, I would lose my focus and wouldn't be able to, concentrate on the things that I should have been concentrating on. And yes, I know in Pigeon Forge there are tons of things to do on this strip that I'm in. There are so many things to do. And I have explored and I have done things this week, but I have been able to still come back and be in the quiet and be in peaceful spots and stuff like that. And I've been able to rest and So yeah, there are so many things to do on the strip that I'm in and stuff like that. But my hotel is right next to a river. I can hear that river out of my balcony, and I can sit out there and I can just listen and I can just have peace and just enjoy the moment that I'm in and enjoy where I'm at and enjoy what God is doing in that moment. And not everybody's, you know, time to get away is going to look exactly like everybody else's, and that's okay. You find what works for you and allow yourself to be able to reset, to refocus, and so you can rebuild. Um, everybody needs a break every now and then. Everybody needs a chance to breathe, and we all go through things. We all deal with things, and we all struggle with things. But we just need to find that one spot or that one place to where we can go and just relax, rest, and just be able to reset our minds and to refocus on the things that really matters, and then to be able to rebuild the things that were damaged. And Pigeon Forge is that place for me, you know. And plus, I think this trip is getting me prepared for things that are going to happen in the future. Because with my job, I have the ability to move up in the company if I would choose to, and if I do that, then there's a possibility of me being relocated to a different area. And this trip has allowed me to prepare myself and to be able to show myself that I can still go out and do things by myself, go out and have a good time, and live my life, and still be happy and still be content with where I'm at. And because life is meant to be enjoyed, life is meant to be lived, and life is not meant to be lived in fear of whatever it is. I mean, so this trip has showed me that I can still be able to do all those things and not sit in an apartment somewhere and, be depressed because I'm by myself or whatever, because I'm never by myself. God is always going to be always with me wherever I go, whether I stay here or whether I, move 6.5 hours away or 16 hours away or wherever it may be. God is always going to be there with me. And He's helped me in this season of being single. This whole trip has been a helpful thing for me to be able to see past what I was seeing in the flesh, and being able to help. And this trip has been able to help me see what God sees in this season, to see it as a positive thing, to see it as a time that I can, you know, figure out things that I need to figure out, and to grow closer to God, and to, cling to Him with everything, and to come to Him with everything first, and to seek Him above everything else, and to seek Him before anything. And a few weeks ago, I think it's been a few weeks ago now, maybe a little bit longer, I was house sitting for my aunt because they were on a vacation. They were on a cruise. And I remember I was sitting in the living room and I was watching TV, and I had a pizza box in my lap, and I was eating pizza just right out of the box. And this huge wave of loneliness just crashed. And it just went, you know, if I had somebody, if I wasn't single, I could have been on the vacation too, because it was, the ones that went on it they were couples and stuff like that. And I was like, and my brain went to, well, you're house sitting because you're single. And so, and I continued to just like, I wrote down like my feelings in that moment. And as soon as I wrote them down, I instantly felt guilty, because all those things that I would want in a future husband, the being able to talk about my day, being able to tell them, if I'm struggling with something, being able to, if I'm having a bad day or whatever it may be, I can have that same thing with Christ. I can have that same relationship with God, with Christ. And I have felt guilty because all those things that I wanted in a husband, all those things that I wanted to have in a husband, I can have in my relationship with Christ. I can tell Him about my day. I can tell Him what I'm struggling with. I can tell Him, where I'm hurting or whatever, and He will be there with me through all of it. And so I went to bed that night and I had prayed, and I said, okay, God, I was like, if I am meant to have, if it is in your plan, if it is in your will for me to have a husband and kids, then I trust that you will bring them in your time. It will happen in your time. But I'm like, if not, if it is not meant for me to have a husband and to have kids, I will still serve you anyway, and I will trust you anyway. no matter what. And that's why I have this tattoo on my wrist that says no matter what, because no matter what happens in this life, no matter what goes on in this life, God is always going to be there with me, and I'm always going to be rooted in him first. And I'm going to be rooted in what he says and what the word says and what he says about me. It does not matter what happens. It does not matter who comes in my life. It does not matter where I move, where I live. It does not matter. My joy comes from him. My peace comes from him. My wisdom and knowledge comes from him. My strength comes from him. Everything that I have and everything that I am comes from him, no matter what. So with this video, I encourage you guys out there to kind of just allow yourself to reset so you can refocus and so you can rebuild. Find your quiet time, whatever it may look like. Just find your quiet time and allow yourself to be in the stillness and to be in the quiet so you can hear the whispers that God tries to tell you. Because sometimes we miss the small things because we're so busy with the chaos and the noise of this world, and we miss the things that God really wants to tell us. And this trip has allowed me to do that, has allowed me to sit in the quiet and to sit in the stillness and to be able to hear the whispers that God wants me to hear and to be able to hear the things that he wants me to hear. And this trip has showed me that no matter what, I'm never by myself. I am never alone. God is always going to be with me. Not that I didn't know it before. It's just now I can see it more clearly, and I understand it. And there's clarity in the thing and everything now. So it's no matter what, no matter if I'm meant to have a husband or no matter if I'm not meant to have a husband, I will still serve God. I will still follow Christ. I will still be a vessel that he can use to reach people who need to see and need to hear that there is a hope in this world and there is somebody in this world that will never leave them or forsake them, that will always be with them no matter where they go in this life, no matter what happens, no matter where they end up, whether they stay where they're at or whether they move somewhere, it doesn't matter. God is always with them in every situation, even when we don't see it sometimes. He is always there, and he's never going to leave us, and he's never going to forsake us. So, thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a great day. I'm going to go play putt-putt on my last day here. And then we'll stay tuned for some others. I'm hoping to get a video together of my trip that I've had down here. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. You guys have a great day. Have a blessed day. God loves you. I love you. We'll see you in the next video, guys.